Is a massive snow train heading your way? Weather update: American cities 25 FEB UDPATE number 157. The weather is about to get absolutely wild across the United States as a massive snow train prepares to slam into the country. We are looking at multiple threats over the next 7 full days now. It is honestly hard to believe, but this winter storm sequence is going to dump repeated rounds of heavy snow. The Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the East Coast are all right in the line of fire. This entire situation is unfolding right on the heels of the most intense blizzard the Northeast has seen in at least a decade. The impact from that previous storm was truly something to behold. We are also tracking a dramatic temperature roller coaster over the next week. You can expect wild swings from bitter Arctic air to abnormally warm temperatures as this crazy pattern takes hold. I want to dive right into the forecast because this winter setup is looking absolutely insane. Let's start by looking back at that historic and truly massive storm that just walloped the Northeast. Yesterday was one for the record books. Some spots saw nearly 40 inches of snow fall from the sky. Just look at the totals near Long Island, where a widespread 20 to 30 inches piled up. The snow stretched from the heart of New York City all the way back toward Montauk, in the far eastern reaches of the island. It was a massive blanket of white that covered everything in its path. However, Rhode Island and Massachusetts were where the storm really flexed its muscles. We saw locations near Providence reaching a staggering 38 inches of snow during this winter event. Believe it or not, that actually beats the legendary 1978 blizzard for the most snowfall ever recorded in Providence. It came in at 9 inches more than that historic storm, which is just wild. Even near Warwick, residents were digging out from 38 inches. Just south of Boston and Milton, they recorded 24 inches, while Plymouth got hammered by 30 inches and huge winds. It was a truly historic winter event for many of you. I know some of you didn't see quite as much as the models predicted, but others ended up with far more snow than anyone originally anticipated. Now, let's pivot and talk about the massive weather pattern change that is about to sweep across almost the entire country. This shift is going to redefine our weather for the rest of February. As we look at the current setup, there is a large dip in the jet stream sitting right along the East Coast. Arctic air is spilling out of Canada and traveling all the way down into the deep south. This morning was actually one of the coldest starts we have experienced in places like Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina since early February. It is a sharp, freezing reminder that winter is here. Our big historic storm has finally moved out and is currently sitting over Nova Scotia and other parts of Canada. While that specific system is gone, do not think for a second that we are finished. We are done with significant snow for today only. The Northeast is looking at more snowfall arriving as soon as tomorrow. Then we have yet another chance coming through on Thursday and Friday too. In fact, we could see 3 separate winter storms over the next 7 days in the Northeast alone. By Wednesday and Thursday, a large high-pressure system will build up across Baja California. We will have an intense jet stream with a zonal flow coming out of the west. But keep an eye on a little dip in the jet stream over North Dakota and far western Canada. That is the key right there. That little dip is what allows Alberta clippers and separate winter storms to slide over the Great Lakes and toward the Northeast. This leads to more snow for the Ohio Valley and the Midwest soon. Once we get into the upcoming weekend, things could get even more serious. There is a possibility of a much larger and more significant storm system developing along the East Coast by Saturday. As we move into the beginning of March, the weather story becomes even more interesting. We are approaching the start of the severe weather season, which typically runs from March through June. During those months, we usually see the most active tornado and severe storm setups. We expect the jet stream to lift much further north, pushing the winter storm chances deeper into the Midwest. Meanwhile, severe weather will likely make a big return with large storm systems during those first couple weeks of March. But first, let's focus on the immediate storms hitting the United States. It all starts with what is happening today. We already have a small Alberta clipper forming in the upper Midwest and parts of Canada. This is just the beginning of the next wave of winter activity. At the same time, an atmospheric river event is slamming into the Pacific Northwest. We are seeing heavy rain along the coasts of Northern California and Oregon with heavy snow in the mountains. Later today, that Alberta clipper will track across Wisconsin and Michigan, eventually reaching northern Illinois. Expect light snow showers with some moderate bursts in the Upper Peninsula area. By tonight, this low-pressure system will intensify slightly as it moves toward the southeast. It will also start to broaden out, creating a much larger area of low pressure over the heartland. This leads to a widespread area of light to moderate snow showers by Wednesday morning. It will cover parts of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, though it might not be a majorly impactful event. For most spots, we are looking at 1 to 3 inches of accumulation. However, some localized areas near the Great Lakes, like Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, could see totals closer to 6 inches. As we head into Wednesday afternoon, New England will see its own round of light to moderate snow. It won't be as heavy as the recent blizzard, but a few more inches will certainly pile up there. By late Wednesday and Thursday, a surge of moisture from that Pacific atmospheric river will move over the Rockies. This is going to fuel our next big storm system, which could be quite impactful. This specific system is going to bring a real mix of weather problems to the country. It will likely bring heavy snow to some regions, while also bringing back the threat of severe spring weather. Early Thursday, the storm will move into the Ohio Valley. We will see an elongated band of light snow stretching all the way from South Dakota and Minnesota over into the state of Ohio as it goes. While the snow falls up north, we will be watching for an organized risk of severe weather on Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center is keeping a very close eye on the Tennessee Valley region. Places like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and southeastern Tennessee could face damaging winds and even an isolated tornado risk. It looks like a serious concern for the Dixie Alley area then. On the cold side of that same storm, we will see another shot of heavy snow. It will stretch across Maryland, New Jersey, and Long Island before moving into the southern parts of New England too. This isn't a classic nor'easter, but it will still dump several inches of fresh snow on top of what is already on the ground. With the cold air sticking around, that snow is not going to melt fast. The most fascinating part of the forecast happens in the first few days of March. Around February 28th, another Alberta clipper will bring snow to the northern parts of New England again. An Arctic high-pressure system will be trailing right behind it. As we enter March, we could see snow showers circling that Arctic high as it passes by the Great Lakes during the start of the month. The GFS model is showing a large area of snow-freezing rain and sleet developing across Iowa and into Kentucky and Illinois. This could become a much more significant winter storm very quickly. Energy from an Alberta clipper passing through Canada could allow this system to intensify over the Ohio Valley. There is still uncertainty about how much moisture it will actually be able to grab. However, the Northeast needs to be ready for another potential big-time winter storm during those first few days of March. Climate Prediction Center is already noting a higher likelihood of it. They have placed a slight risk for heavy snowfall across the Northeast for that time frame. It is definitely something we need to watch closely as the transition into the new month draws nearer now. Beyond the 4th of March, the forecast gets a bit fuzzy, but the overall pattern remains very active. Looking at the total snowfall for the next 7 days, the Midwest has a lot on the way too. We expect a few inches for Wisconsin, Iowa, and the Dakotas. The numbers will likely increase as we get into early March, but the exact evolution of that next storm is still being refined by models. In the Northeast, you will get that quick shot of snow through Thursday. Near the lakes, you might see 3 to 6 inches, while inland areas and Long Island might only see an inch or 2 for now. By Friday and Saturday, the next round of snow looks a bit more significant for the east. We could see a widespread 2 to 5 inches, and those numbers could easily trend upward as we get closer. If you are in the Northeast, just know that more snow is definitely coming your way. It might not be quite as massive as the recent historic blizzard, but multiple rounds will keep things very white. The Midwest and Great Lakes are also in for a snowy finish to the winter season. But while the snow piles up, you need to prepare for a wild temperature roller coaster over the next 7 days too. The Arctic blast currently chilling the East Coast is going to vanish by tomorrow. By Wednesday, heat will start to build again across the Great Plains and the desert Southwest in a major way. Even though the Arctic air leaves the Northeast briefly, another shot of cold air will arrive behind that little Alberta clipper. You will get the snow first, and then the bitter cold follows it.